Creating a community is essential for your success. With the right connections within your community, you can do anything.
Welcome to the stage, CEO of Transworld Business Advisors, Andy Cagnetta.
What if you could create a community that would always support you, where you would possess little superpowers, have lifelong connections, and not only prosper yourself, but help others prosper? Let me bring you through a story outlining that process in 4 easy steps. So I moved to Florida 30 years ago. I knew no one. My wife, beautiful wife Allison, who's here, grew up in Florida. So I came down here. I had owned a business. I'd been in business a few times, mostly because I couldn't get a job because I didn't do very well in school. More interested in drinking beer. But anyway, so through that process of looking to buy a business, I stumbled upon Transworld. And they liked me, and they asked me to join the team as a salesperson. And I said, well, that's a good idea. I don't know anybody in Florida. Let's join Transworld. Let's get to know the economy. Let's figure out what's going on down here. And there was only one problem with that. I'm not a good salesperson. At least I didn't think I was at the time. And my wife was pregnant. We needed to feed our family, and we had nothing. So the one thing I knew I could do is I knew I could talk, and I was good at helping people. I always liked to help people. Even in any of my sales jobs, I did well when I didn't need to sell people. And the funny thing about Transworld and the funny thing about exit planning is we don't necessarily sell people. We don't need to sell them. They want to do something. We're here to facilitate that process. So I just figured out, okay, well, if I can help people, I just need people. I need more people. So I said, how do I build a network? How do I get more people? So I'm like, well, you joined the Chamber of Commerce, right? I didn't know how else to do that. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce, wound up in a networking lunch that we had every week, and one of our attendees came that week, and she was crying because we used to go around the room and ask everybody what was up. And she worked at the local food pantry, and the AC was broken. Now, this is South Florida. This is the middle of the summer, and it's about 120 degrees in the kitchen. And we're going around the room, and she's still sitting there crying, and nobody's doing anything. And I'm like, I got to raise my hand. I got to do something. So I raised my hand and I said, I'll help you. She's like, how can you help me? And I said, I don't know. I've sold an air conditioning company. Maybe I'll get them to put an air conditioner up there. And through a long process, we got that done. And why did I raise my hand? It's because I cared. I cared for her. I cared about the homeless people. So that's kind of the first step in building a community. You have to care. Because empathy is a superpower. And don't let anybody tell you different, that empathy is a weakness. It is not. You need to care about the community you live in, that we all live in. So I stepped up, we got the AC done, and the executive director was duly impressed that I helped her out. And she said, would you like to join the board? And my answer was, what's a board? I didn't know. I didn't know what a board was, so I eventually became chairman of that board. And we built a building, and we had no money. But this is the second step. If you're going to care and you're going to get involved, you have to lead. So the second step is be a leader. Raise your hand. Step forward. And at the soup kitchen, we again had a brand new building. We had no money, and I was the chair of the board, and I said, hey, everybody's got to do something this year to raise some money, raise awareness. And so I said, I'm going to cook pasta. Now my business before being a Transworld was a pasta shop in Hartford, Connecticut. And so I said, I'm going to bring everybody, my family, my friends, down to the soup kitchen. I'm going to cook dinner for them. And so I took action. And that's what leaders do. Leaders need to be activists. So this is the third step, is that you need to take action. So that dinner turned out to be the first annual pasta dinner, Andy's Family Pasta Dinner, andyspastadinner.com if you want to check it out and give money, because we're doing it again, September 14th, for our 23rd time. And we went from the first one of 30 people raising $300, cooking with my grandmother, with my mom, with my aunts, with my wife and kids at the soup kitchen and having my friends. And we went to having 1,000 people a year, raising over $300,000 over the last few years, and we've raised almost $3 million. And it was growing so fast that I joined a group called Leadership Broward, because that's what else you do. If you're a leader now, you have to learn how to be a leader. So I joined Leadership Broward, and one of the attendees said, hey, you got to move this to the local catering hall. So that was the reason we were able to move it. And I told him at the time, I said, hey, I don't have any money. You know, we're little, and he said, we'll do it for free. So an example of being able to have a community that builds, because activism builds. People want to get involved. People want to help. They just don't know how. And people look for leadership in your community. And so because I was doing these things, I was asked to join the United Way board. Became chairman. I was asked to Junior Achievement board, join the Junior Achievement board. Eventually became chairman, was part of building the largest junior achievement in the world. And I think it's still one of the largest junior achievements. I was asked to join the 100 CEOs of Broward County. And, you know, we were getting recognition at Transworld and myself by mayors, by the media, by just incredible community support. And this led us to kind of to the last step, which is prosperity. Not only for myself, not only for my family, but my company, our community. And so building this community and making magic happen is fun to watch. So I'll give you an example. Again, the pasta dinner becomes famous. I mean, everybody, you know, it's funny, I used to walk around town and people would say, what restaurant do you work for again? What chef you are? Because I was known as Chef Andy, and I would promote myself on Chef Andy on social media. And so people actually thought I ran a restaurant at some point. So we became famous, and the local food critic for the Sun Sentinel, which is the daily newspaper, reached out to me and says, hey, I want to help you. You're doing good things. He goes, what can I do? I said, you could have lunch with someone and be an auction prize. So he says, great, sounds like a great thing. I said, I'll buy the lunch. And we started auctioning them off every year. Well, about the fourth or fifth year we auctioned them off, this friend that I had met through another charity event, and my wife and I had dinner with her, invited her to the pasta dinner. She won that lunch. It's about 8-9 years later, and they just moved in together, and now her and the critic are now, you know, significant others living together. And so and I sponsor, it's a long story, but we don't have time for that. But I changed his life. And we get all kinds of VIP referrals for selling businesses. One of them was from the mayor. And the mayor sends us the local hot dog place called Hot Dog Heaven, Chicago Hot Dogs. It's been around for 40 years, and the owner wants to retire, and the mayor looks at me and says, do whatever you do to sell this place, but Don't let it turn into something else. Don't let them bulldoze it. Everybody loves these hot dogs. So we go to sell this $2 million hot dog stand to someone who wants to make hot dogs and spend $2 million. And it was hard. I mean, we're at it for 18 months. We're trying to sell the dream of being in South Florida. I run radio commercials in Chicago, and it's not working. He's begging me to do something. He says, run radio commercials down here. Now, we don't like to do that because we don't like to be public when we're selling our businesses, but I said, I said, if you're willing to go public, I have an idea. Let's Eat South Florida, a Facebook page, has 200,000 members. I'm going to try to post on it. Now, the problem is you can't post commercial ads on these types of pages. And the moderator is a pain in the ass. He won't let you do this. But if he happens to be the food critic that is now sleeping with your auction prize, he might let you slide. So I decide to post this at 5 o'clock on Thursday night, and I put my agent Alan's name on it at 5 o'clock. I didn't even tell him I was doing it. I thought it was just an off day. The phone starts ringing immediately. We have 1,000 likes overnight. We have 300 shares. The newspaper call, we were on the front page of the newspaper within 48 hours. We're on local TV because that's how loved this place is. And we have 3 full price offers in 48 hours. Now you're thinking, done deal, right? Unless this guy hasn't made a physical upgrade in 40 years of his grease trap or in code violations. Now, we still need to get the deal done, and we need a new grease trap, which will take 2 weeks for a permit. Except if the referral source was the mayor. Then you get it in 12 hours and you get the deal done. So, listen, this is not only about money, building a community. This is about you, your family, your coworkers' well-beings, connections to medical care, law enforcement, resources for employees. You know, my wife is chairman of a local charity called Pace Center for Women. And one of the women she helps out is a family of 4, and she has kept them in their home multiple times over the years through all these connections, through United Way, through getting them funding, through getting them help. And it's been amazing to watch what you can do once you build a community. So let's think about those steps. Number 1, you got to care. Number 2, you got to lead. Number 3, you got to activate. And number 4, you got to prosper. If anybody's paying attention, what does that spell? Who clapped? Who clapped? All right, so stand up. I know, I'm sorry. So I appreciate you caring. I appreciate your leadership. So let's now, on a count of 3, activate everybody here. And let's not only clap, let's create a community of clappers. And let's have a thunderous applause, and let's lift everybody up and prosper together. Go ahead, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everybody.